dog, please close the door behind yourself. My dog is coming in and out of the room and swings the door all the way open. So I have to go back and close it behind her.
The easiest thing to solve that problem would just be to tell Wyatt not to leave the room.
I was gonna say to put towels on the floor.
That too.
But she likes towels.
Wyatt's got a lot of weird obsessions.
I said she, not he.
Yeah, I heard you.
Fair enough.
Welcome back, everyone. You saw the previous spoiler-free review of
And if you didn't, that's just too bad.
Everything Everywhere All at Once. This will be our spoiler-included discussion of the movie. So you have been warned. I was sorely mistaken. I do not know why I thought this was an Apple Plus movie. I have no idea where I got that thought from, but it 100% wasn't. It will be an Apple Plus to buy. So I was sorely mistaken.
Zach is disappointed in me. I'm gonna change it.
It was something completely different. I didn't even see it. Oh, I see it now. I was looking at something else. I was disappointed, I suppose is the word. It was funny nonetheless.
So this movie was one of the more bizarre ones I have seen.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I really did. I liked the antagonist. I thought the actress did very well. I thought that they didn't put a big emphasis on the antagonist. They just made her a big enough threat to motivate something. But I knew they weren't trying to put the focus. They were trying to draw as much focus to Evelyn as possible.
I thought the antagonist was actually pretty good overall. An antagonist is mostly just there to serve their purpose to help the protagonist move some major direction. And I think she served her purpose.
Why didn't you guys like the last fight?
I gave you my reason why I didn't like the last fight.
Other than the one instance.
No, I said, oh, other than that, I enjoyed it. It was just that one instance that I thought was
came out of the blue, caught you off guard.
Well, yes and
Which
no.
one instant? You talking about with the
maid? I think that's the most nonchalant way I can say it.
That one caught you off guard?
Mhm.
Out of all
I
the
thought
stuff?
that was so funny.
It was, but it was,
because she was winning by being kind and making people happy and giving them.
And I got it. And I
Yeah.
understood it. I was just,
I'm kind of glad for it because it completely overshadowed the hot dog fingers.
There was so much wrong that I hated with the hot dog fingers.
However, I still came out of the lighthouse feeling more confused and like bizarred than I did out of this movie.
Yeah, I can.
Because this one has like a plot and like a message, and the lighthouse is just, I don't know. Like, I didn't get anything out of that movie. It was well directed, well acted, well filmed. This one I got something out of, and it's part of the reason I liked it so much. But the lighthouse, I got absolutely nothing out of that movie. It was just weird the whole way through.
I'm sure some people out there understood something.
No.
I feel like someone did. There's gotta be. But no, I did enjoy the message or messages it gave out. I think they were well done, well received. I think my favorite alternate timeline is probably just The Rock.
Me too. That was nice. It was sweet. It was a nice change of pace. And it was just different. That was a very unique way of storytelling.
It was. I think my favorite part will 100% be when The Rock turns back and it's just got a set of googly eyes. Yes. And then it starts chasing the other. I'm like, yes.
Oh, that was so funny.
And you just see the text on the screen. No, what are you doing? You're not supposed to move. Stop chasing me.
The one thing I personally wish I got more out of this movie is I want to know more about the original Evelyn that discovered the multiverses and broke her daughter. I wish I knew more about that, but I 100% fully recognize that it is not about her.
I expected either the Alpha Wong to shed some light on it, because it looked like he wanted to talk about it a little bit, but just didn't. And then I thought Joy was going to do something small in her explanation as to why she's hunting down all the Evelyn's. But
I'm very glad that it didn't become like a Wong was the real hero after all. Because for a second I thought that's what was gonna happen. I thought that was gonna happen. I'm quite glad it didn't, because that
I
would have
think
the whole purpose.
I think they did a good job giving his character, that one, or that world's character, a good lighting. Because during the whole thing, they were pretty much just dogging on him, saying he's the worst, he's not that great, he's the most disappointing out of all of them. So, I mean, giving him that, I think they did a good job showing him that, hey, he's like this because he's more supportive than
And strength comes in different forms, and that was a
exactly.
good way of saying
And
that.
I enjoyed how they did when they would explain a character, you would see the different variations of that character giving roughly the same explanation.
I
So you see
really,
that it's not just this one, it's his personality in general.
I really liked the recurrence of the IRS lady. I thought that was really fun.
I did too, except every time I see the character, all I can think of is hot dog fingers, and then I get disappointed. Just the whole hot dog finger thing. I just hate. Mostly because it's mostly what disgusts me the most is when they stick them in each other's mouths and it's like ketchup and mustard, and I just don't get it at all. And it just grosses me out.
I think that was intentional.
It was intentional. Um, I'm like, I don't understand. Is that like their saliva is just ketchup and mustard, or is it just what comes out of the fingers, which would be even more disgusting?
I think it was a testament to the anything is possible in some far off multiverse. And they did a creative, fun way of doing that. But it was definitely bizarre.
Another thing I don't get, if you were gonna have a fight between people with actual hands and then the hot dog fingers would not win a fight by hitting someone. They should have had them fight with their feet or something. Which
I'm glad that they didn't overuse the bizarre though. I'm glad they did one universe that was super weird and not like five
yeah,
that she jumped
I mean,
through.
yeah, that was the weirdest out of all of them. I mean, the only other ones was like the rocks, but that made sense.
More symbolic.
Then you had like the pinatas, the 2D, the hand drawn. I was like, all
I'm
right,
also
I
glad
get
they
it.
didn't give Evelyn like omnipotent powers that Joy
Mhm.
had, because Joy was
Yeah,
like grabbing swords out of thin air, and Evelyn never did anything like that.
I mean, in the final fight between the two, she was kind of changing all of the weapons she was taking or making into something non-lethal, anyways. So
Yeah,
she could have done it.
she
She
could have.
just didn't want to at that point.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the whole fight being fought with her third eye being open, I suppose you could say.
that was fun.
I thought that was just a fun joke, especially just the googly eye in general. Now, with what Payson said earlier, what happens with all the others when you take over their bodies or just take over their mental state, I suppose, during the time? They did bring up that it takes years of training to be able to not branch in both timelines to mess up that one. So that's what I'm gonna guess. Since she had no training, she was always going back and forth.
I thought I saw it
So
as you're looking into and you're downloading things from your other life, and you get a glimpse of what your other life could be. And the training is to like make sure you don't slip in and completely lose yourself.
yes, but what she was doing, she was slipping back and forth, and the training is so you just stay in your specific.
I thought it was
Because
after.
every time, no, from what I understood, I mean, he's like, when you slip over, you're becoming like, you want to stay in them, but you need to stay as yourself. So they had training so that they won't slip over, which would I would think would prevent them from messing up that timeline with certain mistakes they would do in this one.
Gotcha. I
That's
was
what
going
I
along
would
the
think.
lines of, I think he said your mind is like a water pot, and whenever you jump, it creates cracks, and it takes training to seal those cracks.
Well, yeah,
But they didn't
but I
dive
yeah,
into
they didn't go into much explanation of that stuff.
But that's what made this Evelyn the chosen Evelyn, is that she had the natural knack for being able to do that, and they kind of gave you a glimpse at why, is because she had lived absolutely 0%, none of her potential. She had the most best capacity to live all of her potential.
I will say probably the saddest scene was when she first tapped into one of her potentials
Oh
and
my
was like,
goodness.
"Oh, I saw the best version of myself," and it
That
was
hit like a
without you.
truck.
And I was like, "No."
I was
Just
like, wow,
seeing
you're awful.
there were quite a few scenes in the movie where I was like,
She
"Dang."
wasn't redeemable for the first half, for a large portion of the movie.
And I mean, that's mostly where I was like, "Dang, if this is the whole movie, I'm just gonna be really disappointed." Luckily,
I
it
didn't
wasn't.
expect for her to be an awful person the entire movie, because that defeats
Yeah,
the
I
purpose
know.
of her being the main character.
But she was like
Other than
that
Harry
for
Potter,
a
but
good
And this
she
can't be
was
like
like that for
Captain
a good
Marvel.
hour.
I already made a joke.
Oh, you did? What was it?
I said other than Harry Potter.
Oh, mine was better.
Yeah, but mine was more of a hot take.
And mine was more relevant.
No, Dumbledore's just came out.
I'm
Yes,
trying to
welcome
think.
back to the Fantastic Beasts franchise, where there are none of them. They've all disappeared. Yes. But back to the movie, even though I don't want it to be talked about. Back to the movie.
I like Kronk.
Probably Wang,
Which one?
just in general.
I was gonna say normal.
I think it was mostly the fact of the first time you get to see him change into or use another person or another variation of themselves abilities was just with the chapstick. And so that whole scene of him just slowly reaching into his fanny pack, pulling out chapstick and just eating it. And I was like, all right, makes no sense. And then you're just followed up with, all right, you need to give yourself 5 paper cuts in between your fingers. And I
Oh,
was like, oh, that hurt me so much.
he did it.
Oh, he did it multiple times. And then the death he had was an impactful death. Still, it felt like she liked him so much more than her variation, which I mean, I understand, but I feel like she didn't notice her variation of him until the very end of the movie.
Yeah, I attribute that to the strength revelation. Before, throughout the whole movie, we saw him as like a weak, stupid, clumsy husband. But then we, as well as Evelyn, got the perspective of strength comes in different forms, and you don't have to
Yep.
be brute to be strong. Sometimes it's harder to smile and do the right thing than it is to put up your fists and slug it out. And so when she realized that strength, that's when he got redeemed, I guess, in her eyes. Because before he was a loser in all accounts. But then we got more of his character. And it was very nice to see that actor again.
It was. He does like a movie once every year, every other year. So to see him again is always fun. He's a really fun actor. I mean, he will always be remembered as Short Round, and I just went blank on his name. I guess he's not that remembered.
I think this movie was very good. I think it definitely has elements that are off-putting. I think it's better than a lot of movies that have come out recently or within the past couple of years. Very bizarre, but
On that, I would disagree. But that's just me.
Well, yeah, no, and I understand. When I was watching this movie, I was like, yeah, Payson's not going to enjoy this.
It took too long of an
So
explanation to get from point A to point B. They didn't really explain anything until about maybe 45 minutes later after it happened.
I mean, that is really the only problem I had with this movie
It
was
went
it
very
just took a
bizarre.
long time.
It went very bizarre to the point of where it was confusing as to why they chose that specifically. Some of them I know exactly why, and that's neither here nor there. One question I do have is how did Mr. Ping change his wheelchair into an armor suit, considering that is still the Mr. Ping from that universe and not the Mr. Ping from his universe?
That is something I
So
did have questions for, but at that point I was just like, I don't even care.
also that how did Wang not bleed out? Considering that he was stomach
Stabbed.
gutted with a shard.
It looked like it was to
From the
the
side.
side, so it very well could have just been more of a flesh wound. I don't think
considering it went
it
in
was.
about this much into him. Yeah, just
Well,
a
it was
flesh
in
wound.
the side, it was in the side, so it could have missed all of the organs in
Yeah,
intestines
but the likelihood of
and
that
just hit.
happening is
The side is not a very fatal place. There's
it's
not
like
many.
okay.
Yeah, right here.
I mean, the fact that he didn't like bleed out more, concerned that he wasn't putting pressure on it anyway. So
I mean, no, I mean that is fair. But at that point, he's already died, so
Adrenaline.
that is another fair point.
yeah, I just don't like this movie. A lot of it just doesn't make sense.
It's okay.
You know what? It
And the
made more
parts that
sense to
make
me.
sense, I don't like. What?
It made more sense to me than whatever that other time traveling movie is that
Tenet.
Payson loved. Yeah, that one.
I don't like it as much now, but it still made more sense than this.
It made more sense to me than Tenet.
Tenet made more sense than this.
No, there were too many contradictions in Tenet, timeline wise.
And I mean, you're gonna get that with almost every time travel movie.
Exactly. And
So
I just, I didn't like that movie, but that's just personal opinion.
I
in
mean,
that matter.
Right now, this movie is one of the highest rated on both IMDb and
What is it?
Rotten
rated?
Tomatoes. On IMDb, it is an 8.9, and on Rotten Tomatoes, has a 97%.
I was expecting it to have like a 7.58. I'm surprised and a little impressed.
yeah, apparently a lot more people are like you, but I found one guy who's like me. Just awful, random events with no story arc. Save your money. I don't feel as bad now. I'm not the only one.
I mean, you'll never be the only one. Unless you like Captain Marvel, and then you're the only one.
No, Wyatt is sitting right there. Don't talk about him.
Unless you like the last 3 episodes of Star Wars, then you're the only one.
I don't know why you changed it because I said Wyatt, but
I have to save him somehow.
yeah, I just didn't like the movie. Thought the story arc it could have been better. Not much
Well,
else
I
to
hope
say.
you
Really.
enjoy my movie. I could have
I
chosen
hope
a
so
movie that
too.
you absolutely hated, but I think you'll enjoy it.
Well, no, it was bad enough I watched a bad movie, but then I watched a good movie that I liked right after it. So I remembered more of the good movie than the bad movie.
I know one thing I can say I'm disappointed about this movie was I couldn't just sit back and watch the movie and do something else. I had to read the movie.
Yeah.
I understand the reason why, but I was trying to do something else, and then I'm like, dang, I don't know Chinese. I mean, it's not a problem. It doesn't bring down the movie in any way.
You
It's
watch
just-
anime.
I know that's why I said I didn't bring down the movie in any way. It was just I wasn't expecting to have that much dialogue.
I didn't want to be
Chinese.
reading. I didn't want to be reading most of the time, but I understand why it
was
was
it-
there. However, I
was
I
it,
can see that being the main focus for people
Also,
downvoting
yeah.
it a lot more. Considering
Yeah.
that I go to a movie to watch stuff, not read it.
well,
wanted to
you
read,
would
I'd
hate
go-
to be deaf.
Yeah, I know. If I was deaf, I'd probably want to either read a book or read a comic book. I wouldn't want to watch a movie.
You know how they watch movies, right?
Yeah, silent.
No, well, yes. To go to the movie theater, they have to, in some way, inform them that they're deaf, and they get like a thing that they can wear that'll caption the movie for them.
Cool.
It's really quite interesting.
Yeah, it's like
Or
it
Or
tends
they
to be
give
a
them like the whole script is just in braille.
Yeah,
So they got to read along.
it
yeah,
tends
yeah.
to be a
Just,
phone that's kind of like attaches to the chair that they can see the
mm-hmm.
words as they happen on the screen.
Yeah, no, I just didn't want to read it, but
No,
it didn't hurt it.
That's
It
fine.
didn't hurt it as much because I knew why I was reading it. I just didn't want to read it. Like I'll figure it out.
I don't
I
know.
think the old guy would have acted a lot differently, finding out that his granddaughter is a lesbian. But I could be
Knowing-
thinking of the
I mean-
wrong culture. But I would think he'd act a
No,
lot differently.
Yeah, I was expecting a little bit more questioning, just a little bit more of a reaction out of him, since
Yep.
he was someone from China. He disowned his daughter multiple times because she ran away with a guy he did not care for, and he didn't want a daughter to begin with. So I was expecting, a little bit more of a reaction out of it, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I understand it was
Also,
the
I
end of
don't
the
know why
movie. It wasn't necessary. They needed
Yeah.
to make it a come full circle, I suppose.
But then if that's the case, then why bring it up if it's not going to be something to, hinder the protagonist, the antagonist? You know what I'm saying? It's like, what's the point of it being there
It was
if it's
it
not
was
going to
mostly
cause
just
conflict? Another thing is, I don't know why the antagonist kept on looking like a different aisle of Walmart every single time. Like she was hit every single time she appeared or punched. She looked like a different aisle of Walmart, like some other superstore, like Target.
I understand what you're saying, but
One
I
costume
also
was completely teddy bears, another costume was completely bows and ribbons. another costume. I was expecting to be like completely cereal boxes. What I was trying
I
to
thought
actually look for was the giant, like especially when she wore the giant teddy bear suit, was like a giant tag on it that said "Made in China" right next to it. That'd be. I don't think Andrew heard it, so I'll say it again.
no, he heard you.
I heard you.
I can guarantee that. No, you
He
would know
just
when
thinks,
Andrew's upset.
yeah, true. You'd see the fro on his bald head.
I wasn't gonna put it like that.
He would start making the avatar arrow with his head. It would start glowing. You'd see the
If his
wind.
hair starts
Fire.
glowing, I'm leaving the call immediately. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us on our spoiler rant of Everything Everywhere's All at Once. I really enjoy this title. I think the title was really fun now that I say it out loud. So I hope you enjoyed the movie. So join us next week as we watch and review the movie Sahara. So join us next week as we go over that movie. Goodbye, everyone.